All right. It is. All right, so here we go. So we left off with the word plane yesterday. Let me get this into writing mode. All right, no more talking. Let's listen to me. I should be the only one that I hear and the only one that you hear. Okay, so the last thing we did was plane. So we're going to do a couple more definitions. We're going to do several more definitions, but I'm going to write down at least the words. I'm not going to write down the whole definition just for the sake of time, but I would like you to do it though, okay? And you'll find it in your books. So if you have your books, you should have your books. Open it up. I think it's page 7 where you see collinear points. Do you see collinear points? Is that page 7? So I'll write the word down, then we'll talk about it for a second. Because what they're going to do, listen now, what they're going to do is they're going to give you some pictures, and I'm going to show you some pictures too, but they're going to give you some pictures in the book, and they're going to say, like, what are the first couple questions? Identify or explain, or what do they say? Look in the book on page, it's probably page 8. Is it page 8, 7 or 8 or something like that? What's the first question say? Like identify, or what's it say? I don't have the book in front of me, so tell me what they say. Gigi, go ahead. Okay, and then there's another one. It says draw, so you're going to have to draw some stuff. And then what's the other part say? Write a description. That's what they said. Yep. So write a description. So you need to know what these words mean because you're going to be using some of these words we're going to talk about right now. Okay? You'll see the words, and then you're going to have to draw the picture that is described in those words. And then they're going to give you a picture, and you're going to have to write words that describe that picture. Okay, so you have to do a little of both. So one of the things is collinear points. Collinear. Co kind of means with, all right, or on or something like that. Basically, it's with. What other like geometry word do you see in this word right here besides the co, the linear? What word? What regular math word, geometry word? Jason, what do you think? Okay, linear, but even shorter than that, Kenzie. Well, just in this word collinear, not in points. John? The line, right, okay. See line right there? We've already talked about what a line is. There we go. So what a collinear point is, it's a point, or points, I should say, multiple points that all lie on the same line, okay? They're points that lie on the same line. You'll see the definition in the book, but I want you to write it in your notes. All right, so collinear points are points that lie on the same line. I will not give you a quiz or a test where I say define collinear points. I won't do that. But I could ask you to draw a situation where there are collinear points, okay? Or I might give you a drawing and I say describe it, and it might be collinear points and you have to describe it. All right, everybody understand that? So I'm not going to force you to learn the definition word for word. But let's talk about collinear points. They all lie on the same line. Now the line doesn't have to be like straight across, horizontal all the time. So I'm going to just make this one slanted just to show you. It doesn't have to just go straight across. So what did I just draw right there? What is that thing? That's a line. Okay, now there's how many points are on a line? There's a lot. Give me a number. An infinite. Very good. That's a number. Okay, infinity. That's a number. If an infinite number of points. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to describe a couple of them. So I'm going to put, actually I'll put 3. Put point here, and put a point way out here. Does that mean this line only has 3 points? No, it only means I'm only going to label 3 of the points. Remember, there's an infinite number of points on this line, but I'm only going to label 3 of them. We'll just go super easy and go A, B, C. So what's true about all 3 of these points? They lie what? On the line, on the same line. Exactly. So guess what they are? If these 3 points all lie on the same line, they are what? Collinear points. Everybody got it? Pretty easy. This is just definitions. It's just learning how to speak geometry. Okay, it's its own language, and it's just learning how to speak this. So what if I put a point out here, point D? Are all 4 of these points collinear? Why not? Because D does not lie on the line, right, as all the other ones, okay? What about B and C? Are B and C collinear? Yeah, absolutely. What about A and B? Yeah. What about D and C? Okay, nope. Okay, they're not. Now, you could draw a line that connects them, but they're not collinear. You guys done? Hey, what's going on? Jason, what's going on? Okay. So that's collinear points. Number 2 is concurrent lines. There's that CO again, but it's a con this time. Concurrent lines. If you look up the word concurrent, I don't know the exact definition of it, but it kind of means like at the same time, or they happen like simultaneously. That's kind of, I guess, what concurrent basically means. I never looked it up, but that's kind of what it means. In geometry, this is what it means. It's the lines whose intersection is a single point. Write that down. Lines, I'm not going to write it, but you are. Lines whose intersection is a single point. Now, there's a big word in there that we haven't used yet this year so far. What is that big word? Intersection. Okay, but you probably know what that is already. So let's draw that situation. So if on a quiz or a test they ask you, draw a situation where there's 3 concurrent lines. All right, so let's do that then. So here's one line. There's another line. And let's say about right. Whoops. Yeah, it's close enough. That's another line. And look what they do. Now, if they're lines, what should they have on the ends of them? Arrows. Arrows. Because they do what? They keep what? They keep going on forever, okay? So those are all lines, but they just happen to do what? Intersect at one point, okay? That's the key, all right? They intersect at one point, and that's the point right there. Let's go back from yesterday a little bit and talk about naming lines. What's like a really easy way to name this line right here? With what? There's an easier way. Lowercase letter, okay? If you do a lowercase letter, that's a real easy way to name a line. So, I don't know, give me a good lowercase letter. What's a good one? W, all right. What's another one? G. And then what else? F. Oh, sorry, I heard F. Even though you said S. That's okay. All right, hey, we got it. No more. We're done. We got 3 lines, okay? We got 3 lines. We got the names of those 3 lines. They intersect at a point. How do we label a point? What do we use to label a point? Uppercase letter. You can use anything. I'll just use P for point, okay? You don't have to. It could be any letter. But it's uppercase, all right? It's capital letter P. So here we have 3 lines that intersect in a point at one point. So that must mean that they are what? Concurrent lines. It's not too bad, is it? It's just vocabulary, right? Now we know what they mean. We know what it looks like. So if I told you to draw me a situation, give me a situation where you have 3 concurrent lines, this is exactly what you would do. You'd make 3 lines that intersect in one point. So you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't go this, and like that. Are they concurrent lines? No, because they don't all intersect at the same point. Now, these 2 intersect right here. Oops, why did I make that so big? There we go. These 2 intersect right here. These 2 intersect right here. But all 3 do not intersect in the same point. Right here they do. So these would not be considered concurrent lines. It's just a series of intersecting lines is all that is. But concurrent at the same point. We good? All right, let's move on. There's a lot of other definitions, and I decided just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to, I took a picture of them. Let's see. What I want to do. Did I do that? Let's do this first before we get into those other definitions, okay? So I'm just going to copy that, move it over here, and then put it right here. I just took a picture of it with my cell phone and put it on this thing. All right, so here's an example. Okay, this is kind of something that they may ask in your homework, something similar to this. So you got to know what these words mean. Do they look familiar to you? Yes. Sure they do. All right, so 3 collinear points. What does collinear mean? They do what? They all lie on the same line. So do you see a bunch of lines here? How many lines are actually shown right here? There's 4. Okay, there's this top one, this bottom one, this slanted one right here, and this one up and down right there. Okay, there's 4 lines. But there's only one situation where you have 3 points on the same line. Would you agree? Yeah, there's only one situation, only one line. Which line is it? Look at it. Which line is it that has 3 points on that line? Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, I didn't hear it. You tell me. Okay, it looks like an I, but it's an actual L. Because remember, these are lowercase. If it was an I, what would it look like? A little I with a dot on top of it. Okay, so that's actually an L. All right, so it's line L. All right, it's got the 3 points. What are the 3 points that are on that line L? Point. Let's say point T. What? Point V and point S. Very good. Okay, so those are collinear points. 3 collinear points right there. All right. What about R, S, and V? Are they collinear points? No. Why not? Because they don't what? They don't lie on the same line. Okay. They lie on the same line. They're collinear points. Now, what about the word non-collinear? I didn't even mention that. Okay. What do you think non-collinear means? They what? He's got it. He's got it. They don't lie on the same line, okay? So I already mentioned 3 points that I already mentioned 3 points that do not lie on the same line, R, S, and V. But there's others, aren't there? Yeah, there's quite a few combinations of other 3 points that don't lie in the same line. Give me another combination right here. TSW, that's right, TSW. They don't all lie on the same line. Somebody else, give me one. NRV. Well, N's not a point, though, is it? Okay. So W what? TR? Oh, yeah, WTR. There's a bunch of them, right? As long as they don't lie on the same line, they would be 3 what? Non-collinear points. Make sense? Yasmin, you getting all this? Is the English bothering you? It's a lot. This is a lot of new stuff. Even these guys already know English, and these words are brand new to them too. So, all right. 3 concurrent lines. What in the world does concurrent mean? We just did the definition. What do you think? Right here.
It means line with intersection single point.
Okay, so it's basically 3 or more. I guess you could say 2. I guess 2 lines could be concurrent. I don't know. But I would say 3 lines are concurrent if they intersect at the same point. Do you see 3 lines in here? There's 4 lines altogether, but do you see at least 3 lines that intersect in the same point? Jason? Line M, is that what you said? Oh, N, sorry. Okay, line N. It's not I. Would we say it was? Yeah, it's an L. Remember, we just had a long discussion about that. Okay? So it's N, L, and what else? K. All right? So line L, line N, L, and K all intersect. Where do they intersect? At, somebody just tell me. Point T. Let's not just say T. Let's say point T. All right? So we know what we're talking about. And that's where they intersect right there. So that's the kind of questions they're going to ask you. Now, a few of the questions, they may give you a situation like this. Draw 3 collinear points. So what do you need to do? You need to draw a line, 3 points on the line, name the line, and name the points. Everybody got it? So they could go back and forth asking you to do that kind of stuff. That doesn't seem too hard, does it? Yes? No? Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. Here we go. This is what I wanted. So I'm going to copy this, bring it over here, and stick it right there. So here's some more definitions. I figured it would just take too long for me to write all these down, but they're in the book. It's straight from the book. I took a picture of it. And there it is. But you should write these words down. And I have other pictures that are going to talk about these definitions. So write it down. Coplanar points. Now, we had collinear. What word was in linear? Line. Okay, what about coplanar? Plane. Okay, so it means with the plane. So points that are with the plane. That means the points lie on the plane. Does that make sense? So if you have a plane right here like this, Okay, you got a point here, and a point here. That means they are collinear, or they're coplanar. All right? So they're points that lie in the same plane. Coplanar are points that lie in the same plane. Before we go to the next one, I'm going to show you a picture of coplanar points. Okay? And here we go. All right, let's take a look at this situation. Let's scooch it up just a little bit. All right. There's a couple things happening here. All right. Let's talk about what we just mentioned, coplanar points. So they're points in the same plane. First of all, somebody describe to me, just in words, what the plane is that we're looking at. Chase, help me out. Or Chance, I'm sorry. What is the plane? Like, just describe it for me. You don't have to give me perfect letters or anything like that. Just it's the thing that looks like what? Is it the arrows? Is it the what? It's the shape. It's that blue shape right there, okay? So it's that blue shape right there. That's your plane. Now, on this picture, it looks like the plane has edges, like it stops right here. But what did we say yesterday about a plane? It's infinite. It keeps on going and going, okay? So you have to envision that, right? We can't draw that, obviously, but we can see it right here. Now, somebody else give me coplanar points. 3 coplanar points. 3 coplanar points. John? D, E, and F. Okay, D, E, and F are coplanar. There also happen to be what else? Kenzie? Collinear, right? Because they're all on the same line. Are there other combinations of coplanar points? G, D, and F. Yep, G, D, and F. Even though they don't lie on the same line, they're all in that blue shape. All right? Would you agree with that? There's other combinations. Give me another one. Somebody, Casey, help me out. What's another combination of points that lie on this plane? G, D, and E. Good. Okay, G, D, and E. I don't know if we've taken care of all of them or not. What if I ask you this? What if I asked you, is H, G, and E, are they coplanar?
No.
Why not?
H out.
H is not on the plane, is it? Okay. Do you know what's going on here? It's kind of like this. Here, let me use my notebook. Pretend this is the plane. Everybody looking up here? Pretend this is the plane. So when they draw it on paper, they kind of draw it so it's like a little bit slanted, right? And look at HE, line HE. Do you see it? You see how it's, see that dotted line right there? I should do this so that people on YouTube can see it. So this dotted line right there, what do you think that represents? Why is it dotted? What's going on? Why is it solid here, and then it's dotted a little bit, and then it goes solid again? Jason, tell me. Yeah, it's representing the line that you can't, what? That you can't see. Exactly right. All right, so this is the top part from H to E. Everybody see that? So like pretend this pen goes through this notebook. It's really not. Guys? So pretend this pen is going through this notebook, right? And it comes out the other end like this. Use your imagination, right? So this is the part that's at the top, the HE. This little bit is that dotted line that you can't see, and then it comes out the bottom of it at that solid part down the bottom. Everybody see that? So what is this line doing to this plane then? It's hitting it at one point, so it's doing what to it? We've used that word today already. Give me a good geometry word that we use today. Say it. It's intersecting, okay? So this line intersects that plane. They may ask you to draw something like that in the homework. I don't know. I can't remember what they asked on the homework, to tell you the truth. But they could ask you that. So look, line HE intersects this plane. Now, there's no little small letters, are there? There's no lowercase letters, but we can name this plane. So if we were to name this plane, what could we name this? Rosalind, help me out. Seems like you're pretty busy, so you probably know all this stuff, so I figure you know the answer. So help me out. Come on. Name this plane for me. Nope, I'm asking Rosalind. Shh. Guys, we don't need We don't need anything else. Help me out. Like if I had a, let's change colors here so I can see it. What if I had like a little M right there? I could call this plane M, couldn't I? But I don't have that there. All right. So how do I name a plane if I don't have a little lowercase letter up in the corner somewhere? How do I name a plane? It was the last thing we did yesterday. Okay, go ahead, Trent. Okay, yeah, we could call it plane. Yep. And if I was to ask, if they ask you like on a homework or something like that, and they say name this plane right here, then you could say plane what? G, D, E. And there's a bunch of things you could call it. You could call it GEF, right? You could call it whatever. You could go backwards, right? You can mix up the letters. It doesn't make any difference. As long as you pick 3 points that are on the plane, you can name the plane that. Yeah. No, don't pick 4. So when you name a plane, you only use 3 points. You only use 3 points when you name a plane. You could have 15 points on here, but how would you name the plane? You just pick 3 of them. Make sense? All right. So what was this word? What was the word that we just did? Coplanar, right? Okay. Coplanar means they all lie in the same plane. Okay. So G, D, E, F, they all lie in the same plane. All right. But when I was trying this to name the actual plane, and that's when we only use the 3 letters. If I said what are all the points that are coplanar, then you could say, oh, point G, point D, point E, point F. You with me? Okay. What about point H? Is that coplanar with the other ones? No. Okay. It's not on this blue thing right here. Okay, enough of that. Let's keep going. We got that one. So what's the next word? Coplanar lines. Okay. Coplanar means they lie on the same plane, right? But if they're lines, they're what? They're not points that lie on the same plane. They are lines that lie on the same plane. Now, technically, these really aren't lines. Why aren't these lines? They don't have the arrows. They got a point at the end. Technically, we'll learn this another time, but technically these are line segments. I got people talking. I can't deal with that. Stop. Shh. I don't want to know. I just want you to stop talking. Thank you. So these right here are technically called line segments because they do have a beginning. They do have an end. All right. But if you did this, then they're lines, aren't they? Okay. We'll do that. I just grabbed these. I just did a Google search, found these things, and I just stuck it on there. So these are coplanar lines. Why are they coplanar lines? Because they lie what? On the same plane, okay? And we could say they're in the plane or on the plane. It means the same thing, all right? So if you say in or on, it doesn't make any difference. All right, so that's coplanar. What's the next word on that list? Skew, all right? That's a funny name to say, isn't it? Skew. I don't know. It just makes me laugh when I hear that word. Okay, here we go. Now check this out. I'm not going to scooch all the way up to the definition again. I'm just going to keep the picture here. Somebody tell me what the definition of skew lines is. What's it say?
Lines that aren't coplanar.
Okay, they are not coplanar. So need a box. Like a good square looking box. I don't know. I'll just use the book. I'll use this book. Okay? This is good enough. If you look at this line right here, do you see this line where the edge of the book is? And this line right here where the edge of the book is? They lie on the same plane. Describe for me what the plane is that both of these lines lie on. The book cover. That's exactly right. Okay? See this thing right here? It contains this line and it contains this line. Agreed? Okay, so they lie in the same plane. What about this line right here? Everybody looking up here? This line right here on the edge of the book. And let's say this line right here. Okay? So this one keeps going that way. This one goes this way. Do they lie on the same plane? They do not. Okay, they do not. You couldn't put a flat surface and contain them both. You may get one that intersects, but that doesn't mean it's on it or in it. Okay? So this line and this line right here would be skew. All All right, go ahead. All right. So what about this line right here? Can everybody see this? Look, if you're watching on YouTube, you can't see this, but I'm holding a book and I'm just tracing the edges of this. So this line right here and this line right here, they don't touch each other, but are they coplanar? Are they skew? Are they skew? No, because skew lines, what? Are not in the same plane, okay? So if I can put a flat surface and contain both of those lines, then they're not skew. So skew lines look like this picture right here. All right, so this line going up and down, I could move that red over to this. It would be the same thing, wouldn't it? So this line right here, this edge and this edge are skew. We don't really do a lot with skew lines. Okay, we will do something with the next one. What's the next word after skew?
Parallel.
Okay, now we will do a lot with parallel lines. I'll tell you what, I don't like that picture. I don't know why I even put that on there. I'll just draw it myself. Let's draw some parallel lines. Everybody watching? There's one. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So the angle is exactly the same because I copied and pasted. Everybody see that? All right, so put arrows to make sure that they're lines. Now, these two lines actually do lie in the same plane. Okay, now, I said it real quickly, but I'll say it again. The skew lines will never touch each other. They won't intersect each other. Everybody got that? Okay, skew lines don't intersect, and they're not in the same plane. These two right here will never intersect each other, but does that mean they're skew lines? No, skew lines are not in the same plane. These two lines right here are in the same plane. So we call these, what? Parallel lines, okay? So these are parallel lines. All right, I'll call this one, I don't know, W and Y, all right? So here's two lines right here. Line W and line Y are parallel to each other. We actually have a little symbol for this. You see it in the book? Okay, so I would say line W, let's write it out. Whoops, let me make that look a little nicer. So I would say line W is parallel to line Y. Everybody see that? Or I could do this. Let's mix up the colors a little bit. Let's go this nice light blue. Looks like my shirt. Oh, that's not blue. Let's try it again. Let's try that. There we go. So there's a point right there. We'll just go super easy, call it AB, and we'll call this CD. So what's another way that you could write these parallel lines? Like if you wanted to write it out, you could say that AB is parallel, but what do we have to do with AB? If it's a line, do you remember the little symbol on the top? You got it? Is parallel to what? Line CD. Don't just say CD, say line CD. So that would be a good way to write what's going on here. And that's what they're going to do on the homework sometimes. They're going to give you a picture of what's going on, and you have to describe it and write it down like this. We good? Okay. Yeah, that's pretty easy. In fact, we have a huge section, maybe a whole chapter, I think. I think there's a whole chapter just on parallel lines. Can you imagine? Just two lines next to each other that don't touch, and there's a whole chapter on it. Okay? There's a lot to know about it. So, and there's math involved and everything else. Okay? Believe it or not. But that's parallel lines. What's the next word? Are we almost finished this group of words here?
Parallel planes.
Parallel planes. Good. Yeah, it'd be a little harder for me to draw this, so I actually do have a picture. And here you go. I'm going to copy that and just bring it over to there, put it right there. And these are parallel planes. So if parallel lines never touch each other, what do you think is true about parallel planes? Good idea. They never touch each other. For instance, now the paper is kind of floppy. Okay, I'm trying to keep it kind of stiff here. So if you have two planes like this, if it's not tilted, right, if they go at the exact same angle like this, then they'll never touch each other. So what do we call these? We call these what planes? Parallel planes. Okay, they're parallel. Now, if one slants just a little bit, now it doesn't look like they're touching. The pieces of paper are not touching, but remember what a plane does. It doesn't just stop. It doesn't have edges. Where does it go? It keeps going forever. So eventually, this plane will come and hit this one. Does that make sense? So if it's slanted just a little bit, they would not be parallel planes. They got to be at the same angle, all right? They could be like this. They could be like this, if I could keep those pieces of paper straight. You get the idea? Parallel planes. All right, that's it. So, is that all our definitions? Yeah, it is. So, yeah, we got a little bit of homework. So here is your homework. And I'm going to talk about it in just a second. Let me write it down. So here's what I want you to write on your paper. Shh, listen, this is important. You guys are talking and you're not paying attention to me. I'm going to take points off if you don't do this correctly on your homework, all right? So it's your fault if you're going to talk and not listen to me. So it's section 1, 2, and it's pages 8 and 9, and it's 1 to 18. So that's not too much. So numbers 1 to 18. Now, let me do this. Let me show you. I did this for my other class, and I'm going to do it for you guys too. Pretend this is your piece of paper right there. Okay? I'll move it up in a sec. It's 8 and 9. That's supposed to be an 8. Looks kind of weird. It's pages 8 and 9, and it's 1 to 18. I'm going to do this in a brighter color. Do not write in your book. Do not write in your book, okay? Let's say this is your piece of paper. Here's what we're going to do. You know how it has this, and then you, oops, what did I just do? I got to click off of that. There we go. Let's try it again. You know how you got that part of it, whatever, right there? So what I want you to do, I want you to put your first and last name, up at the top. Everybody got it? First and last name, and I want you to print it. Print, so that I can read it. All right? First and last name. Yes, I want it in the top right, just like this. Here's your piece of paper. I want your first and last name up at the top right, and then the date that it was due. So we don't come back till Tuesday, and I believe Tuesday is the 6th. All right? So you would put September 6th right there. Everybody got that? And then what you're going to do, all this stuff, you can just put that right in the middle. Section 1, 2. Make sure you put the section number. Okay, I rarely look at the page numbers, but I at least want the section number. But then you could put page 8 and 9, 1 to 18. This is how I want you to write on your paper. First and last name at the top right corner, and it has to be done in what? Yeah, pencil. Okay, and print it. Follow directions, please. Please follow directions. Everybody good? All right, you guys have a good weekend. And we'll see you on Tuesday.